There's no denial that Pokemon has been really popular over the past 2 decades. Pokemon became the highest-grossing media franchise of all time due to its excellence in creating a new fantasy universe centered on fictional creatures called Pokemon, wherein the humans there embodied the identity of Pokemon trainers, where they catch and train Pokemon or battle other Pokemon as a living. From developing video games turning into a media mix franchise adapted into various different media, the Pokemon Company never failed to not succeed in terms of their core video games, the spin-offs, the anime series, and many more. Hey there trainers! Welcome to my channel GeekyGamer! For my first video ever, I will discuss a Pokemon Unite beginner's guide that in my opinion can help anyone to get right on track from their early journey as Pokemon Unite trainers. I'll also be sharing some very useful tips and tricks that can help you excel on the game immediately that will be based from my experience, research, and reviews from other content creators. So, take a breather, sit back, relax, make sure to stick around until the end to get a good grasp on how the game works and how you can be an efficient Pokemon Unite player effectively. Let's hop into it! To begin with, let's go over Pokemon's Unite gameplay. Pokemon Unite was first released on Nintendo Switch and recently released on Android and iOS platforms. It's the newest Pocket Monster-themed MOBA game with 10-minute matches consisting of 2 teams of 5 players. The game map is split into 2 halves with 5 goal zones each. So for MOBA players out there, you will have no difficulty in learning the gameplay here since it is relatively similar to your popular games such as League of Legends, Defense of the Ancients, etc. But there are some key differences from the game among the accustomed MOBA games. Going to the point, in light of total beginners, let's talk about its general gameplay. As I have mentioned before, the game matches consist of 2 teams of 5 players resulting to become a 5 versus 5 game. You will battle online players for a 10-minute match on a competitive game. For MOBA players, I'm pretty sure you're expecting this to be exactly the same as the popular MOBA games you play, wherein you destroy alongside your allies bit by bit the towers of your opponent and at the end destroy your enemy base to declare victory against them, but unfortunately, it's not. But at the bright side, you get to enjoy a new system to win. Isn't that interesting? Let's jump right in and first discuss the interface of the map and minimized version, which is what you will see at the upper left corner during the game. Actually, there are multiple other maps that Pokemon Unite has, but in this video we will use the most applicable out there for standard and ranked matches, which is the remote stadium. As you can see, the map is split into 2 halves with both sides having 5 goal zones each. Take note that the number of goal zones on other maps in each side varies from 3 to 5, but it seems that the left side's goal zones are colored in purple and the vice versa in orange. Well, that is to indicate which is your team's and enemy's goal zones. The purple ones or at the left side are your team's bases and the orange ones are the opposite. Rest assured that every time you enter a game match, purple will always be your team's color. Now that we have finished our brief discussion about the map, let's now proceed on how the gameplay of Pokemon Unite works. Here, we will follow a famous YouTube game content creator, which is Zach Scott Games. I will utilize his first Pokemon Unite gameplay walkthrough wherein he played his first match game with other players. Like you, he is pretty much a beginner at this point of this video. During the gameplay, I will explain step by step the gameplay overview. Let's start with the match lobby. In this sequence, the Pokemon selection undergoes here. The Pokemon you will select will be the character that you will be playing with during the match. You also get to see who your teammates choose here. Take note that you can choose the same Pokemon that your teammates have already chosen and vice versa. There can only be 1 unique Pokemon per team. If you observed well, you probably noticed that above the character selection panel, there's an option that indicates Battle Prep. Here, you can manually set your Pokemon's held items, move sets, and map path, which can be essential to your gameplay. Held items are items that passively provide a stat increase or an effect that can be either passive or dependent on a certain condition. Movesets are the skills that your Pokemon can use as their advantage during the game. Every Pokemon starts with 2 moves they can use, and each beginner moves have 2 upgradable choices accessible when you level up during the game. Take Pikachu's movesets here as an example. Pikachu's beginner moves are Thunder Shock and Electro Web. You can upgrade Thunder Shock to Electro Ball or Thunder, while for Electro Web, it can be upgraded into Volt Tackle or Thunderbolt. What upgradable move you choose will strongly depend either on your liking, what works the best during a certain situation, or for combo purposes. I know choosing a moveset for your Pokemon might be a complicated process, especially in the beginning since every move has its own benefits, but there are times that it is not the most applicable and practical move to go for in certain situations such as team fights, strategies, etc. But rest assured, because in the near future I'll make a video about that. Continuing with map paths, they will indicate which lane you want to take, although when you press the edit button, recommendations for your Pokemon's map path will be shown there, so this is not as complicated as it is in choosing items or movesets. At the start of the game, you will play as the pre-evolved form of the Pokemon you have chosen. As their level increases, they eventually evolve to the Pokemon that you have chosen. However, this doesn't apply to all Pokemon such as Pikachu here. Pikachu had Pichu as its pre-evolved form and Raichu as its final evolution. They didn't do it because, you know, why would they involve their franchise mascot in that aspect?
It's because...
So anyways, let's proceed. As you can see here, Pikachu and his teammates are attacking a wild Aipom, and why do you think they are doing that? I hope you're not thinking that they plan to have an Aipom massacre. But of course, no. These wild Pokemons roam all over the map, so after he defeated it, I'll provide the details and why they are doing this. As you can see, after defeating an Aipom, Pikachu gained experience, which is pretty much has the same purpose like the other games, which is for leveling up an Aeos energy, which is indicated here. He already has 4 Aeos energy that is being kept in a ball. These will be essential to score points, which will happen when you deposit them at the enemy's goal zones. And while we're at it, let's discuss the goal zones. So, what are the purpose of these platforms? So the goal zones, like I have said earlier, is where you put the accumulated Aeos energy to score points for your team, which is pretty much how you can win. Each goal zones have a set limit on how much Aeos energy they can hold. For example, here the first goal zones of each team have a storage of 80 points. Once a team scores 80 points, the goal zone will disappear, although this is not applicable to your last goal zone, which is located next to your revival zone here. Your last goal zone is indestructible. So let's continue. So now they are engaging against the opposing teams, Gossifleur and Charmander. There you go. Pikachu and matchup have the upper hand, so another way to collect Aeos energy is by defeating your enemies. And here, after the Pokemon was defeated, it'll drop their collected Aeos energy, so make sure you pick it up. And here, you can see the trainer is upgrading their Thunder Shock to Electro Ball. So now they will deposit their Aeos energy to the opponent's first game zone, and yeah, there is charging state in here, so if you got interrupted by your enemies, then the scoring will be denied, so make sure whenever you want to score, take note that the enemies aren't anywhere near you.
Many minutes later.
So from here on out, we can fast forward a little. Basically, try to collect as much Aeos energy as you can. Oh look! A wild Ludicolo! There are wild Pokemons out there that can provide buffs to your Pokemon. Here, after Ludicolo gets defeated, the player that defeats it will get a buff that increases damage dealt to enemies with low health in a time frame, so take note of that, trainers. And here we have a wild Bofaland.
Come on.
This Pokemon also provides a buff when beaten, but the effects is different. Players that defeat a Bofalant will receive a slowing buff to their normal attacks, effectively slowing down enemies hit by it. So now they'll score to the enemy's goal zone, and if you've observed well, you'll notice that the charging state takes longer than before. That is due to them having a high amount of Aeos energy, so yeah, collecting Aeos energy is good, but make sure you pay attention to how many Aeos energies you have collected, since it might become bothersome since... Oh, as you can see here, Absol almost interrupted him. So that's the disadvantage when you are carrying too much Aeos energy. Take note that attackers like Pikachu don't have high endurance to damage, so it's important to double check your health at all times, and I will talk about it in detail later when we talk about the roles. Looks like Pikachu's Unite move is finally available. When you go back a little bit in the video, you can notice that Pikachu's Unite move bar is in progress, and yeah, so what are Unite moves, you ask? Let's take a quick pause from the gameplay to speak about that. Unite moves are special moves that Pokemons can learn when they reach level 9. Each Pokemon has a distinct Unite move, each with its own unique effects that can have an impact during a battle. These moves can range from dealing massive damage to opponents to giving your allies helpful buffs. When the Unite move is at 100% and is glowing up, you will be able to use your Unite move. It is best to use Unite moves when teams clash, especially when the Unite move affects an area. It is important to note that you cannot be targeted short amount of time while your Unite move is active, so it's best to plan ahead if you are going to use Unite moves for offense or defense. Of course, the same as your skills, Unite move have cooldowns, although this one will take as much longer since this your Pokemon's special move. When the Unite move is used, the name and icon will be grayed out and you will have to wait for it to reach 100% before it can be activated again. You can reduce its cooldown by defeating wild Pokemon, scoring on the enemy's goal zones, and by being defeated. For the first goal zones to the enemies, as you can see on the mini-map already destroyed, it is pretty much safe to say in this gameplay that they've already won. A comeback from opposing team is unlikely. While we're continuing to see this team dominate, I'm pretty sure right now you've got a good grasp on how to win the game. But to make sure you get it, let's go over it. First, take note of the timer at the top center at the gameplay screen. Going back to the video, it displays that the time limit is at 10 minutes, meaning when the 10 minutes run out, the team that scored the most points will win the game. Second, of course, like other MOBA games, if your opponent surrendered, your team would win.
I surrender.
There's also a cool thing that was added into the game that make it very easy to come back into the game and dethrone the winning team. In the last 2 minutes of the game, things get more and more intense. As I have said earlier, a certain Pokemon will appear at the middle of your map at this time point, which is...
It's Zapdos!
He shows up only once and it's the final 2 minutes of every match. Defeating it will give you points and cause scoring on enemy goals to be an instant cast of 30 seconds. Additionally, upon defeating Zapdos, the person who got the final blow will get 30 points, while the rest of the team will also gain an additional 20 points. These points will be added to your Pokemon and need to be scored just like normal. They won't automatically be added to your score. Remember that these points will be doubled during the final 2 minutes, so the team that will be able to last hit Zapdos is most likely to win. Take note that Dreadnought's effect will be casted on the team that defeated him earlier. Even if you're pretty much losing, acquiring Zapdos can change the game for you, so always prioritize in last hitting him or else victory will be snatched away. Team fights also usually happens here. As of why out of all the legendary Pokemons out there, Zapdos is a wild boss Pokemon when it can be someone like Arceus, Mewtwo, or I don't know, Shuckle?
Hey guys! What about me? What about old Shuckle?
Well, of course, that's the dev's decision. And yep, that's it for the match. It's not a really big difference, it's just how getting Zapdos turns the tide for your team. They had a huge lead that can be relinquished by a comeback in the late game. Well, that's it for today. What did you think of this Pokemon Unite guide? If you have any comments or opinions, or if you want to suggest a topic for our next video, please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future Pokemon Unite tips, techniques, gameplay, and more. I hope this was of tremendous help to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good time, trainers!